Everybody, and welcome back to another edition of NASCAR DFS Preview. I'm AustYn from the Sports Chief, coming at you for the Sports Chief's preview for the NASCAR race coming up here at the Bank of America Roval 400. It's the last leg of the playoffs, the round of 16. Next week we'll be heading into the round of 12, so 4 drivers will be eliminated. Keep that in mind while you're making your lineup. Some guys are going to be going a little harder, a little more aggressive in race tomorrow afternoon, I guess. So keep that in mind while making your lineup. Also know that they qualified before the second and third practices, so that may affect the way DraftKings does their starting positions. So do some last minute checking. Make your lineup right before the green flag. Try to 10 or 15 minutes beforehand. Set an alarm, alert, something like that to kind of check it and see if they've changed something, or if they do it tomorrow morning, whatever. You can do whatever you want to as far as that goes, but just keep that in mind. They may switch it up on us as far as the starting positions go. Just to let you know, this is the Sports Chiefs YouTube channel. So I do the NASCAR stuff, DFS preview, song of the day, things like that. That's what we all kind of do. We try to hit up entertainment and sports industry, all things like that. So check out our page on WWE. Wow, we do cover that. But www.thesportschief.com. We're on Twitter at the Sports Chief or Instagram, so we try to put up some pictures there. So let's just hit the ground running. Let's go ahead and do the preview for the Bank of America Roval 400. So see what Sports Chief's rolling out here. As you can see, if I'd scroll up towards the top here at the driver lineups, you can see that Martin Truex Jr. is now the most expensive driver for this week. Don't know that he's had that honor this year yet. He may have. Normally it's Kyle Busch or Kevin Harvick, so that's a change. Truex has won the last 2 races, so he's starting in 8th. He did blow an engine. He missed a shift or something. So keep that in mind as far as looking at your lineup. But for now, he's starting in 8th. At 10-9, Kyle Busch starting in 17th. At 10-7, Denny Hamlin starting in 28th. At 10-4, Kevin Harvick starting in 6th. At 10-2, and Brad Keselowski rounding after 10K guys starting in 11th. Pretty standard guys there as far as your options go. Then you have Joey Logano starting in 3rd, and then so on and so forth. So when making my lineup this week, it took me a little while. I'm just going to be honest, because I know this track. I did the Xfinity race. You're not looking at as many laps, so you've got 109 laps, so you got to keep that in mind. The leader may not lead so much, so what am I trying to say here? So if you're picking a guy who you think is going to win the race, you got to be pretty confident in it, but you got to get a little safety blanket as far as your positions pass, things like that. While making this. And also, you got to think, the Roval is pretty hard to pass at. I attended this race last year, so I'm going to try to use that when making my strategy, because I kind of saw who had that track down pat, who didn't. It was fresh on everybody's minds last year, but I am going to use that somewhat, and of course the practice speeds. So looking at this here, if you look at the top, Denny Hamlin was actually decently fast in practice. He wasn't killing anything, man, that dude's flying. But starting in 28th spot, he kind of started, I believe he started in 29th last year, and he kind of just slowly made his way through the field watching that race, watching it live. So I really like Denny Hamlin starting in 28th. Didn't really like it as much starting out there. But being that he's in 28th spot, I'm going to use kind of a cash game strategy. So look for him to, at least get a top 15, I would think. He actually was decently fast in practice. So I'm going with Denny Hamlin there. One guy that I really like this week is Chase Elliott. He's starting in 19th spot. Chase really puts on a show at Watkins Glen every year. He's won the past 2 years. I think Chase is a pretty good road course driver. And he actually was decently quick in practices as far as that goes. I really like Chase. Starting in 19th spot, I think he'd get a top 10 if he can keep his nose clean. And he's running for a playoff berth too. He's safer than most other drivers, but I do like Chase Elliott here in this race. My other choice is going to be Kyle Larson. So as you can tell, I'm going pretty high up on all these choices here. Um, Kyle Larson flat out dominated this race last year. He was half the track, like a mile ahead of second. And had it not been for that time when they went in the first turn there, him and Brad Keselowski locked it up, Kyle would have probably led the whole race. He was just that dominant. And he has been very fast in practices this week. He was P2 in the first practice, P7 in the second, P8 in the third. He was also the fastest on the 10-lap run in the second practice. So look for Kyle Larson to be putting on a show. He also led 47 laps here last year. Like I said, he dominated. I really like Kyle Larson to win this race, and if you're placing a wager or something, you got to look at Kyle Larson. He's 9-1, I believe, according to FanDuel. So looks good to me. I really like Kyle Larson. So looking at these price points here, you see I have 6-8. So scrolling down through here, Ryan Blaney is last year's defending champ. He would be worthy of a choice, worthy of a look. He's been top 15 in all the practices as far as I saw. Kurt Busch starting in 23rd is very attractive, and Kurt is actually fighting for a playoff spot. Look for Kurt to be putting on a show. Clint Boyer's a guy who, man, he looked bad fast. He's not a bad option. Ryan Newman starting in 24th. He's definitely not fast here at this track. So, Ryan, he's a smart driver, though, so he may hang it. If there's a lot of wrecks or something, he could yank out a top 10 or something. Jimmy Johnson's a guy to keep an eye on. He's starting in 4th, and he did look fast, and he wrecked in the final practice. So, if you're going to check your lineups, look for that guy. 7-time champ Jimmy Johnson, you can't go wrong with that choice, especially if he's starting towards the end of the field. Scrolling on down here, Chris Buescher is a decent road course racer. DiBenedetto, of course, is pretty good. He's going to be chalk. I think DiBenedetto is going to be picked quite a bit. Let's see here. Scrolling down here, AustYn Dillon starting in 30th. But one thing I did notice about this race is they had some pretty cool paint schemes, and Jack Daniels is coming back for AustYn Dillon, so that looked pretty cool. But man, Dillon was slow. He was slower than some of the guys like Matt Tifft and those guys. He was slow. Daniel Hemrick is a guy that he looked pretty good here last year. He was running top 15 pretty much the whole race and got involved in a couple accidents, and I believe he ended up in the 20-something, but that was like his second career Cup start in the 8 car. Also the news that he's losing his ride, could put a little fire under him, so I look for him to contend. He's at 6'3", which is a very good price point. Ryan Preece looked quick, starting in 14th. That's just a high spot to be starting in. Michael McDowell, he was actually sick in the hospital, starting in 22nd. Austin Cindric are in the first practice, but didn't seem to affect McDowell because he was P5 in the final practice. Looked really good. And scrolling on down here, you don't have any road course ringers, so to speak. Parker Kligerman starting in 40th. He wrecked in the final practice, so looking at that. But, some guys I actually like, looking down here. I wanted to go Daniel Hemrick really bad and see if he was 7-1. I would have the option, I could go up in here somewhere, but, the starting spots are just not that attractive to me. And Daniel Hemrick starting in 20th is actually pretty attractive. But I'm actually going to go a different route here. So Michael McDowell starting in 22nd. McDowell looked really quick as far as average lap speeds go, and he just seems like he's a good road course driver anyway, and he's not really won a race or anything like that, or even contended. But I think this is a track that he can actually run well. I think he can get a top 20 for you. And the thing is, I've got Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson. I feel very confident with that, with those guys, and I'm going to get a lot of, hopefully, a lot of positions gained with Hamlin and Elliott. So that's one strategy with me picking McDowell over Hemrick, is because there's 2 more positions, and McDowell was a little quicker than Hemrick. P5, that's pretty good. And I'm also going to go with the Front Row Motorsports teammate David Reagan. So Reagan was not lights out fast, but he was top 20 good. That's 7 spots, and that's really good. And I think David Reagan's just the type of driver that's not going to put himself in a bad spot. One other reason why I like that spot is because that gives me $9,000 to spend, and that allows me to pick a guy like Kurt Busch starting in 23rd. So this is the lineup I'm rolling out with, and I don't think you can go wrong. Hey, Clint Boyer, I really wanted to go his way, but I'm not feeling it as far as a positions pass perspective. And I think Kyle Larson, Elliott, Hamlin are just as fast. And I think Kurt Busch is just as fast, in my opinion. So going with Kurt Busch there. So this is what I'm going out with. As we did the rundown there, Denny Hamlin will be my pick there. I think Denny, hey, if he gets a top 10, that's a lot of points. Chase Elliott at 9.6, Kyle Larson at 9.4, and Kurt Busch at 9,000. 4 very good drivers, 4 playoff drivers, one that's vying to get in. Kyle Larson's not exactly out of the woodwork as far as that goes, too. I look for him to really contend as far as stage points go. That leaves us with 5,800, and I'm going to go Michael McDowell starting in 22nd and David Reagan at 56. So, and let me just show you another thing here. So, say I did go Daniel Hemrick or even Austin Dillon there. I really would have to go Bilicki, Sorensen, somebody like that. Just not worth it. I could go Daniel Hemrick and Parker Kligerman. I still don't think that's as safe as going McDowell and Reagan. So that's what I'm going with, mainly because I feel like Clint Boyer and some of those guys will be chalk. So that's it. That's what we're rolling out with here at the Sports Chief. So keep in mind to check those lineups before the start. DraftKings may pull something on us. That's another note to keep in mind here for the Bank of America Roval 400. Whenever making your lineups, you always want to kind of go against the grain as far as chalk and all things like that. And that would be my reasoning for picking Daniel Hemrick, because I don't think he'll be highly picked. But I don't know. David Reagan will probably be picked pretty high, and I don't know if Michael McDowell will. But I think we got 4 guys up at the top that will be pretty well picked. I think Truex is a guy that's going to get picked a lot too. So that's it. So hope you learned something there. Check us out again on www.thesportschief.com. Like this video, comment, subscribe to the channel. You'll get more content like this and hopefully some more stuff. So if you got any questions, just hit us up. We'll try to help you out as best as we can. So hope you all have a good race day and a good race weekend.